Well, it's that time of the week again where, unfortunately, it's a sprint weekend. On the bright side, it's the last sprint weekend. Thank goodness. Either way, welcome to Brazil/Interlagos, however you want to call it, where we are trying to get into the SQ2 session, but, well, that's a voice crack and a half. Jeez. If you saw last week's video, then you would know that I am changing the editing to actually matter with the qualifying, so you'll see what I mean here in a second. So instead of doing SQ1, 2, and 3, or Q1, 2, and 3, I'm just doing the one session that I was in. Notice how it says SQ1. There's a reason for that, unfortunately. And, well, we'll see here where I'm already dropping time. I'm already kind of low on time, effectively. So I just did not hook up the lap here with the setup I had before I made a couple changes. This will round off and then just go wide a little bit into the grass, so that will ruin our lap time for the SQ1. So we will not make it, by the way, to SQ2. Instead, we will be shoved down to a provisional, well, currently provisional P11, but for the start of the sprint, as we'll cross the start-finish line here, you'll see in the bottom left, once I eventually park, that we have ended up in P17 for the sprint race. Anyway, let's see if we can do better.
So it is all about speed in today's sprint. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? Interlagos, always a very special race here in Brazil, is a 2.7-mile circuit with 9 lefts and 6 rights for a total of 15 corners. The fastest lap today should have an average speed of around 135 miles per hour, if of course the weather stays dry until the end of the Grand Prix. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Leclerc, Oscar Piastri and Antonelli, Hamilton, Alonso, Sainz and Yuki Tsunoda, Albon, Ocon, Lance Stroll and Colapinto, Bortoletto, Behrman, Pierre Gasly and Isaac Hadjar, Hulkenberg and Frostbite. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint.
And we are away quite literally maybe hundredths of a second too early, if not maybe a tenth of a second too early. That jump start was, well, way less than ideal. So after serving the draw for the penalty, there was no safety car throughout the entire sprint race, and unfortunately we will come across in last place. So even with setup changes in between this sprint race and Q1, we still don't make it out of Q1 for the main race. Unfortunately, we qualify P17 yet again. Let's see if we can do better.
Formula One returns to Interlagos once again with the stage set for what promises to be another classic Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel famously clinched his third championship here in 2012, and in 2016, Max Verstappen treated us all to one of the finest wet weather drives of all time. We're racing then at Interlagos, a historic 2.7-mile circuit and one of the few anti-clockwise tracks on the calendar. 15 corners in total, 9 to the left and 6 to the right, with a technical middle section opening up to a flat-out Sector 3 that gives us our best passing opportunity down into Turn 1. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. George Russell will begin today's event in pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Piastri, Andrea Kimi, Antonelli and Hamilton, Sainz, Alonso, Ocon and Yuki Tsunoda, Albon, Verstappen, Isaac Hadjar and Hulkenberg, Stroll, Bortoletto, Frostbite and Pierre Gasly. Behrman and Franco Colapinto rounds off the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race.
Well, we are away for the regular race this time, and we get a fantastic start, getting by Bortoletto, staying ahead of Stroll especially, actually getting by Lance Stroll as well, thank goodness, as we decided to opt for the soft tires, much like a lot of other drivers, but unlike other drivers, I'm going for a little bit of a different strategy in terms of the fastest possible and then hardest compound at the end, because that's really dumb. But we'll get through that if we can get through the first lap. And luckily, you can tell by the length of the video, that we do make it past the first lap. Thank goodness. And we're going to make it past the other Sauber as well. And we just send it on Ocon. A little bit unintentionally, but we will get alongside and past him. And then we are already, just like that, up to P11 behind Verstappen. Only a couple laps later are we able to actually capitalize on trying to make a couple positions further, as Verstappen's going to go around the outside of Tsunoda into turn number 1 through turn 2. We're going to follow Verstappen through as well, and in fact Tsunoda's going to let us to the inside, so it's going to be 3 wide with the Red Bulls on either side of me. Down into the DRS zone we go, and we outbrake ourselves as well as the Red Bulls, so going to let the Red Bulls go back through, give those positions back. And then we'll try again the next lap, this time on Tsunoda on his own, as he's going to try and very slowly close the gap. We're just going to flick ourselves to the inside. We almost outbrake ourselves again, but luckily we have the apex and now the DRS this time, as we get by Tsunoda for P10, up into the points we go. And a few laps later we do catch up to Max Verstappen and the train, so we'll get by Verstappen here on the inside, just leaving the gap open for us. And well, he will try and fight back alongside, about halfway alongside our car, but we get the better acceleration out of the outside, and non-committal to the left side is Verstappen, so move us up 1 more spot to P9 as we catch up to Fernando Alonso. This time he also has DRS with Sainz in front of him, but we're going to go ahead and follow through, using a lot of battery in the opening laps. Alonso's going to brake first, we'll brake heavier. I'll go ahead and fall in behind Sainz, falling in front of Fernando Alonso. In 10 laps, we've already gotten up 9 positions, and it's about to be 10 here, since we're about to get to the inside of Carlos Sainz. He leaves the gap open as well to move us up into our finishing position from last race, which is P7. We're a little bit cheeky with sort of allowing, sort of not allowing Sainz to have the space on the left-hand side, but much like the pass with Verstappen, we have the apex here, so we'll get the position and the preferred line. So we catch up to Hamilton and Piastri, who end up side by side amongst each other. We're going to go ahead and get to the inside of Hamilton. A little bit non-committal from us, though, since I wasn't sure if Hamilton was going to fling himself to the inside or not. We get by Lewis, and then we will promptly get by Oscar Piastri here as we get ourselves through into turn number 1. We're going to try and maybe play a couple of DRS games here if we can, but by this point it's kind of redundant, so we'll just use the battery down the DRS straight. But of course, a couple laps later, Piastri is about to get by us on the front straight, and he will cement himself back into P5. So not the first time we've battled the one of the McLarens anyway, and it probably won't be the last, depending on how the next race goes, how the finale goes next week in, yes, Las Vegas. If things continue as they are in real life, that might very well be the case. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes, especially for Formula 2. That's going to be a little chaotic, but it'll be a lot of fun to see if that does happen. But we do get by Piastri regardless, and we skip ahead towards our pit stop, as we will go ahead and be the first one, I think, to box on the soft tires. A little bit earlier, I think, if I remember correctly, or maybe a couple laps later than a couple other drivers. Hulkenberg's going to box as well. Verstappen decides to stay out, so I think we are the first to box on the soft tires. And this is the strategy I was talking about. Well, we're not going to hard tires. Our front wing is being changed for some reason. I genuinely don't remember flicking an option or having front wing damage, so we do get our front wing changed. and we still get out ahead of this Albert just in time, but I'm not sure why front wing got changed. Maybe I flicked a setting that I completely forgot, but we catch up regardless to Baron and Colapinto, who are side by side. Either way, I'm going to get DRS here. Colapinto gets a little bit loose, and he is playing rolling chicane today, and we will very promptly get by him on our medium tires. At least he will try and fight back with his battery, but that's not going to be the case here for him. And I see the gap is there for Behrman, so we're going to go ahead and send it as we'll go ahead and skip ahead to lap 31. Look at the gaps here, especially to Science. 4.6 seconds to lap 31. We're on new medium tires, relatively new medium tires, and we're about to dispatch of Science here very, very quickly. Antonelli and Alonso both boxed for softs behind us in the meantime, but otherwise I've just been running alone, catching up to Science, and we eventually catch up to Lewis.
Hamilton's ahead of you. Less than a second separates you. They're on old mediums. Okay, their tyres are more than 30 laps old.
Great job by Ferrari to have a flawless strategy of 30 lap old tires, because one stopping in Brazil with medium tires is apparently an idea. Considering the soft tires were pretty well worn by the time we got to the end of the sprint race. Medium tires for twice as long, if that, is certainly a decision, especially if they plan to run mediums to softs. But we do get by Hamilton eventually. We also do get by Leclerc, but he eventually Leclerc boxed in front of us, so that's him getting by us on his fresh soft tires. And then we get our own set of soft tires 10 laps later, by the way. I'm going for a pure strategy here, quite literally, of tire wear, because Antonelli did box first before us. He will get by. I didn't have the best few in laps. I was battling with Bortoleto, unfortunately, but that was more because he was a lap down and didn't know how to back off, despite the fact he was being shown blue flags. So karma for me and Coda, I guess, even though I wasn't actively much fighting the lead lap cars. But we eventually run down Fernando Alonso on our brand new set of soft tires. He actually makes contact with Piastri here entering turn number 1. No front wing damage enough to miss the end plate, but with these two battling side by side, it's going to leave the door open for us to go through. And we nearly squeeze Alonso off the track. We're 3 wide with him and Piastri. Alonso makes contact with us. He loses his front wing. We're going to fall back a couple positions, but we don't have any side pod damage. We don't have any front wing damage, so I just decided to keep going. So we will go ahead and run the time back down, catch up to Verstappen, go to the inside, get by him in the first DRS zone, back to the racing line, and we will continue on our day. Run down Piastri within the same half lap, by the way, and get by him and set the fastest lap of the race. That shows we have a lot of pace under this car. A couple changes, I think, if I remember correctly, were just the tire pressures, but didn't really show in qualifying, but it's absolutely shown here in race trim, as Antonelli's going to go defensive. We'll sell the dummy, go around the outside here of turn number 4, I think is what this is. I'm trying to figure out how much fuel we have left in the meantime, but Antonelli will get back by us, defend his position. We'll sneak around the outside, but I'm not really able to make a move on Antonelli to get up to P5 until the DRS zone, until lap 62, coming to lap 63. We'll go around the outside again. He makes a little bit of contact, but we'll stay in line regardless. And Antonelli kind of doors us a little bit, so we're going to say, all right, fair is fair, and run him out of room, basically, and show him that I'm not exactly happy about that. And throughout the last few laps, all the way up to lap 70, coming to lap 71, we run down Hamilton, and we will go ahead and go through to the inside. Trying to play DRS games here, though. It's not exactly going to work out. Watch for the brake trace right there, and that's just my positioning right there. So Hamilton is going to have DRS, and I luckily recharged the battery specifically for this reason. So Hamilton's not going to put up too much of a fight with us. We won't get the podium, but we are still in line for getting a pretty good P4 finish after everything is all said and done. As we'll run through the uphill and carry all the speed possible here, full throttle, and the car just steps out all of a sudden, steps out on us, hard on the brakes. I'll go so I don't get any corner cut penalties or warnings. Hamilton's going to get back by us for P4. The tires still haven't gripped up yet because they still have grass on them. Now they finally wear off, Now the grass finally falls off the tires, and I'm going to see if I can try and hope to catch up to Hamilton, but is he too far out here as we're coming down to the final few corners here? Going to have to deploy the battery here, a little bit of a twitch for us, and we have to hope that we have enough slipstream, have enough battery, have enough DRS and everything, as we'll follow Hamilton through up to the start-finish line, but it won't be enough. He comes P4. And I genuinely don't know why the car did that out of all the times, especially on the last lap. But regardless, we are now up to 117 points over Antonelli's 83. So again, securing that P7 going into the final race next week in Las Vegas. These are the positions here. P5 for the team. So no change for us into the last race, but let's see if we can go out on a high next week in Las Vegas under the lights.